So does the reading happen always as homework, or do you spend some time reading in class?
No, reading is homework.
Okay. And so what is a typical assignment? So that how much of that do you have to read?
The whole chapter.
So you read the chapter, okay. So what do you do? Like if I were in your house and just invisible and kind of watching you read that chapter, how do you go about reading it? What do you do first? And do you sort of like look and see how many pages it is and then think like, how am I going to get through this?
Yes, first of all that, then I'll start to look at the pictures. Then I try to find the words. Since my mom is a CNA, so I try to go pick to her book. And if I cannot find any help, then I'm lost. So I'm lost, and then just try to read it all and how that goes in my head. And for each words, if I'm not finding the correct definition, then I have a special dictionary my dad bought me, write it down on it, or a piece of paper on my binder or something, and study it, or take it to work and read it. Yeah.
Do you annotate that book in the same way that you annotate Warriors Don't Cry?
I sometimes do, but there's a time limit, and it's a time limit also.
What do you mean by time limit?
Because I have few days to read this, and also do my essay, and also do my other classes homework too. So I have test in this, I have homework in this. It's a lot. I have some more mind, I guess, or I cannot put everything in my head. That's my problem.
So you have to just decide how much time you're going to spend to read that.
And how many, if I read all things at once, one day or something, a few days, then I have to see, what do I remember? How do I put this, what information, what's the most important information? I sometimes highlight it.
So you're asking yourself that question, what's the most important information?
What's the most important information? Like the first sentence will tell you about like what's muscles tissue. Then I highlight it or think about what they're talking about, and I look at the picture and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. And I read these, the definitions. I must look at the pictures because that's like what they're talking about. This motion, this is what the test comes on. And just quickly skim through it. That's what I do.
You skim through it, and what do you pay closer attention to?
The definitions, the terms, but the pronouncing of the words, I read it until it gets, but later on it just comes out of my head.
But
I just lose it.
How can you learn how to pronounce it just by looking at the words?
No, I read it and I break it into halves, because at the back of the book, the teacher told us this. There's a section, and it divides, like what does HEMA mean? So hopefully I have it in here. See, HEMAT, hept, right? Hept means blood. And then the other word, biosis, yeah, right? And then means formation of production. That's how the words are broken down. Yeah. And mostly some of the words you could see in this page, that they write it in there, they break it already for you. So that's how I read it and try to get it.
And so then what do you do when you come to a definition? You're reading it. What does that mean when you say you're reading it? Like the definition of arthritis. Like, what do you do with that? So you've read the word arthritis, you understand it because you know about it with your mom and your uncle. And then there's this definition. And so what's going on in your mind when you're reading that?
I think that everybody gets it. That's the question, right? Everybody gets it, and it's a very serious sickness, and if you stand long, then your leg starts hurting, and there's certain foods that you're not supposed to eat when you get that, but there's for every different people there's certain different foods. So my uncle's is lamb chops, my mom is eggplant, and she is different.
So you do a lot of connecting. When you're reading, you connect to what you already know. Okay. So,
But the other words, I've never ever heard it from my mom or from a newspaper or something.
like which words?
All of these words except for the arthritis. I've never heard of this word or never seen it, except this is my first time.
Okay, and so then you go to class.
Then I go to class. Then some people have some questions, some of them don't. They be shy. And out of 50 students, how could you be raising your hand? I'm like, oh, ma'am, I have a question. That's silly, you know. And then she would be like, that's right there. You gotta focus. No, I cannot do that. In Nancy's class, I could do it because I see everybody just don't care. They just ask questions. In that class, they be quiet. They're just quite shy people.
So you feel like in that class it's not okay to be confused. In Nancy's class, it's okay to be confused?
Because she answers you every single questions, like today she did.
But in the other class, you would feel
Shy.
silly or shy.
Yes, yes. Especially when the teacher tells you to pronounce it, or what's your question, or how do you say it, or what's the answer for this. Then all the people turn around and look at it. They want to know the answer too, right? So I just tell them pass.
So you just sit there not understanding it.
Not understanding it, just writing down the answers and just asking, hey, what's his answer, you know? How do you do this? And if they don't know, I'm lost. And then I fail my test.
So you ask about what the answer is rather than what it means.
No, I ask them what's the answer, then how did they get it? Where did you get it from? What section? How did you get it? I mean, where? What's the page? Then they tell me, then I'm like, okay. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't, but asking the teacher is no.
Well, you were saying that if you ask the teacher says it's in the book, just focus. Is that what you think the teacher would say, or why do you think the teacher would say that?
Because it's a medical terminology system book, right? And then if you ask a teacher a question, you're supposed to say it in a proper English, or you know what your question is exactly. Not just be like, oh, what's his answer, you know? But in Nancy's class, if we just mess up one or two a word, then she will be like, okay, this is what she's trying to say, or no, you're supposed to say it this way, and yeah.
Do you want to try just reading just a few sentences of the text and just tell me, you know, what you're thinking as you read it?
The words are really hard, but I will try my best. Okay. Muscle tissue is composed of contractile cells of fibers that provide movement of an organ or body part.
Okay, stop now.
Okay.
Okay. Did you understand that at all?
No, I just know that they are composed of cells and fibers.
So what does that mean if you were just telling your younger cousin or something?
that muscles are I will tell him that there's a cell in our muscles, in our body muscles, that's composed of fibers. Fibers, I think it means like, I don't know what is fiber. I get confused because fibers is like drink or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what does fibers mean exactly.